Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory. We've already got a few people in the comments. Good afternoon, Jeanette, Beth, and Jennifer. Today is a First Alert weather day. We are on alert for the possibility of a few strong to maybe even severe storms later this evening. Now, we've already had one round of storms roll through earlier today, and then even some isolated storms behind that. We are still tracking a chance of more showers and storms this evening, though. Tomorrow will be cool, cloudy, and dry. We get a break from the rain for a little bit, but it doesn't last. By Thursday and Friday, we have more rain in the forecast. But let's start with what's going on out there right now. Like I said, we had a round of thunderstorms roll through the tri-state earlier this morning. You probably heard it, if nothing else. It was pretty loud. We had heavy rain, lots of lightning, and then even as that line pushed out, we had then a little cluster of thunderstorms bubble up right around Evansville around 11 a.m. and then that blew right along the Ohio River there, moving from west to east right behind that line of storms. Now it's mainly dry. Now we do have a few very spotty showers stretching across parts of Spencer, Perry, and Du Bois counties, but the rest of the tri-state dry right now. As these showers and storms continue to push off to the east, though, it is possible we'll see a few more of these spotty showers developing this afternoon, and then more showers and thunderstorms mainly as we get later into this evening, pushing through the tri-state. Those will then work their way off to the southeast as we get into the overnight hours, and will eventually dry things out completely overnight. And tomorrow, as I said, will be cloudy but dry. So again, this is a chance of storms later this evening, mainly from about 5 to 9 p.m. We haven't seen any major changes to our risk level. You can see here the entire tri-state outlined in that green color there for isolated strong to severe storms. That's that level 1 risk. They have upgraded areas to our southwest, down around Paducah, into parts of Missouri and far southern Illinois. Those areas are in that level 2 risk, which comes right up to the edge of the tri-state and actually just barely includes parts of Hopkins County. That's a level 2 risk for scattered severe storms in that area. But again, most of us are still at that level 1 risk where we have been all day. Looking at the individual threats, no major changes there either. We're still sitting at that level 1, 5% chance of flooding, damaging winds, and hail. That upgraded risk to our southwest, by the way, is for an increased risk of hail in that area. And then we're still sitting at that 2% risk of maybe an isolated tornado. So overall, the severe weather threat is low. Odds are these will be just general thunderstorms similar to what we had this morning. A little heavy rain, some lightning, but that would be about it. However, while that is the most likely outcome, it is possible if things come together just right, we could end up with flooding, damaging winds, hail, which I think would probably be the most likely threat, or even a brief tornado cannot be totally ruled out. So the chances of that are low, but not zero. So that's why we are on alert. Just to give you the heads up, that severe weather is a possibility this evening, even though it's not particularly likely. Keeping an eye on the comments here, Jeff Miller reporting just under a ½ inch of rain in Savah. Zach asking about hail. I do think hail is the main concern with these thunderstorms that are going to be developing later this evening. Flooding, wind, and even a brief tornado can't be ruled out. But I do think if we were going to get a severe thunderstorm, it would most likely be because it had severe level hail, which would be about quarter size. So that would be the main thing we would be watching for with these storms. All threats are possible, but I do think hail would be the most likely. Even that, though, is only a 5% chance. So not really good odds, but possible. As for our temperatures, you can almost see where the warm front is kind of dividing the tri-state, stretched right through us here. We've got lower 50s in Oakland City and Huntingburg, but then lower 60s as you get farther to the southwest. Fairfield, Henderson, Greenville, all in the low 60s. Evansville sitting at 55. Now, as that warm front continues to kind of drift to the northeast, I do think it's possible we tack on a couple more degrees this afternoon and top out somewhere in the upper 50s to maybe even 60 degrees in Evansville. But we do have those thunderstorm chances ramping back up this evening, then tapering off as we get into the overnight hours. Overnight tonight, that rain comes to an end pretty early. Then Then with all that moisture left behind, we could see a few spots of patchy fog. Temperatures will bottom out in the upper 40s to around 50 overnight. Then tomorrow, kind of a gray, gloomy day. It's going to be cool and cloudy with highs in the upper 50s to low 60s. But then rain moves right back in Thursday, Friday. So this low pressure system that's moving through today is bringing us rain and thunderstorms. Again, still on alert for that possibility of severe storms this evening. But as we get on the backside of that, we have cool air coming in from the north, clouds still hanging around tomorrow. As this low pressure system moves out, though, the next one then starts to move in. And so we do see rain chances picking back up throughout the day on Thursday. And then that rain sticks with us throughout the day on Friday, as this low pressure system is expected to track almost right over top of the tri-state. By the weekend, we may still catch a stray shower Saturday morning, but generally we will see clearing conditions as that low pressure system then moves out as we get into the weekend. We are monitoring that second system as well. Right now, we're not outlooked for any kind of severe weather as far as wind, hail, or tornadoes. However, when you look more specifically at just the flooding threat, both Thursday and Friday, the tri-state outlooked in that green shade there for a level 1 of 4 for isolated flooding. So that is something we'll be watching. We may have a heavy rain threat with that low pressure system that's moving through Thursday and Friday of this week, bringing us some additional rain and thunderstorms then as well. All right. Brayton asking if Henderson could be upgraded to a slight risk. I'm not anticipating any additional changes to the risk map. That's not our call. The Storm Prediction Center creates those maps, but they've already done their afternoon update. They upgraded those areas to our southwest, and they drew the line kind of right at the edge of the tri-state. So I don't anticipate that they would move that farther north again and include Henderson or a larger portion of the tri-state. So it's not my call, but my answer is I don't think that we will see an upgrade to a slight risk. And yeah, Beth making a good point. Even though we're on the lower end of this risk, it's always good to be prepared. I also have some people asking about timing, so I'm going to loop back around and kind of more slowly go through this risk of storms. So again, right now we've just got a few spotty showers, and we'll probably see that continuing through this afternoon, through the next couple of hours or so. But mainly once we get up closer to about 5 p.m. That's where we start to see potentially some thunderstorms developing over Illinois and then moving southeast across the tri-state. So this would be mainly after 5 p.m., pushing then right through parts of Evansville, Henderson, probably closer to 6 to 7 p.m., and then working its way down through the rest of western Kentucky between 7 and 9 p.m., and then tapering off to the south completely as we head into the overnight hours, and I think we're all dry probably by about 11 p.m. Now this is just an approximation. Obviously things can speed up or slow down. That happens sometimes, but that's just kind of the general idea. It'll be this evening into the first part of the night, but this is not going to be a situation where you have to stay up all night worried about severe weather. The storms will be coming to an end right around the time most folks are headed to bed. But if you are going to be out and about this evening, after 5 p.m. looks like the main window where we could see some severe storms this evening. So just be aware of that. And again, flooding, wind, hail, even a brief tornado. None of these things can be completely ruled out. However, hail does seem like the most likely threat with these thunderstorms that are expected to develop this evening. Tomorrow, cloudy and cool. I mentioned that second system bringing us more rain, potentially some heavy rain Thursday, Friday. That tapers off Saturday morning. This weekend looks mostly dry. I think Sunday will even be mostly sunny with highs in the low 60s. Then as we get into next week, we may start to see some rain chances creeping back in, especially a week from today as we get into next Tuesday. I do want to talk a little bit about the extended outlook real quick, and if there are any more Questions about the first alert weather day for this evening, drop those in the comments and I'll circle back and try and answer those. Just to give you a little perspective on those temperatures I just showed you over the next 7 days, they are slightly warmer than you would expect for mid to late November. Typically this time of year our highs are in the mid 50s. Instead, through essentially the whole next 7 days, we'll probably be topping out in the upper 50s to low 60s. So just a few degrees warmer than you would expect for this time of year. And notice, even with all these weather systems moving through, we're not anticipating any huge changes in our temperatures. We don't see any of those huge warm-ups and then crashes back down after the rain moves through that you sometimes see with a warm front followed by a cold front. These lows are going to move almost right over top of us, so we remain in just this kind of cloudy, rainy pattern without any big changes to our temperatures through the next 7 days. If we look beyond that, start looking ahead to sort of toward Thanksgiving, it does seem like the trend towards slightly above average temperatures will stick around for at least a little while, but notice the cooler than average temperatures just to our northwest. So at least through the middle part of next week, I think we'll probably be looking at similar temperatures to what we're seeing this week, maybe just slightly above average. But there is that signal that some colder air could then be headed our way as we move forward. The precipitation outlook also shows above average precipitation. I mentioned that chance of rain creeping back in mainly Tuesday. It does seem like we could have another weather system moving through middle of next week. We had previously been outlooked for heavy rain. In the update this afternoon, they have pulled that back though. So it does seem like we could maybe get some rain, maybe even heavy rain middle of next week, but the risk is backing off a little bit, not as concerning. That would be for a weather system moving through, again, probably middle of next week in the days leading up to Thanksgiving. I don't see any major impacts from that, but it is something to be aware of, as a lot of people will be on the road. You could have a little bit of rain in the area. And just a quick mention, if you are traveling anywhere out west, especially in the northwest, notice those blue areas, those are outlooked for cold, and the purple is an outlook for heavy snow. So there is that possibility that there could be a larger cold snap and potentially a wintry weather system, snowy system moving through much of the sort of northern plains and then back into the Rockies there right around Thanksgiving. So obviously too far out to know any details, but if you're traveling out that way, just be aware there does seem to be some signals that we could maybe be dealing with some cold and maybe even wintry weather in that part of the country around Thanksgiving. But again, that really only impacts you if you're traveling. We're not expecting that here locally as of yet. All right, let's check in, see if we have any more questions. Madeline asking about a downgrade in the risk. And again, she's talking about this risk of severe storms for today. The entire tri-state right now is included in this level 1 risk for an isolated strong to severe storm. And then when you broaden out the view, there's this level 2 risk down to our southwest, primarily for an increased risk of hail in that area. Sometimes as the storms roll through, they'll start to drop people back. As sort of the risk moves out, they'll sometimes sort of move the risk with the storms. So that's a possibility as we get later into the night. If they reissue the map, it would be because the storms have already moved through. Like I said, I think ours will be done probably between 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. So if they do another update in the middle of the night, they would likely pull the risk from us. But I don't think we'll get downgraded between now and when the storms hit. I think this is probably the risk they're going to stick with for that chance of storms this evening. Then once the storms move out, we'll see it canceled. But sometimes if it's in the middle of the night, they'll just wait and let the new outlook issue in the morning. That's kind of their call. But I would not think that we'll be pulled back to just general thunderstorms, because there is still, while it is a low chance, there is still that chance that the storms we're expecting later this evening could be strong or maybe even severe. So I would anticipate they'll probably just stick with the risk level that they have in place right now. I think the tri-state will probably remain in that level 1 risk as these storms move through later this evening. So again, it's a low risk. More than likely, this will just be a run-of-the-mill thunderstorm, a little heavy rain, a little lightning, but there is that possibility that one or two spots could end up in a warning for most likely hail, but maybe some damaging winds, maybe some flooding, or even an isolated tornado can't be totally ruled out. So just be prepared. Make sure you've got that First Alert Weather app with the notifications turned on, so that no matter where you are, if you are going to be out and about, maybe getting dinner or something this evening, you want to have that with you and have it turned on so that you'll get a notification if a warning is issued for your location. Or even if you're just at home, it's just a good tool to have. But again, I want to reiterate, this is mainly after 5 p.m., so we should get through all of the school pickup and whatnot just fine. This would be mainly after 5 p.m., but likely ending by 10, 11 p.m. at the latest. So this is not going to be an overnight situation where you feel like you can't go to bed due to the risk of storms. I know some people with storm anxiety struggle with that. These storms should be over and out of here by the time most folks are headed to bed anyway. So no overnight threat. But this evening, you will want to stay weather aware. And great news is we'll be on for most of the evening, right? You can just turn it on to 14 News. Jeff will be here tracking these storms as they roll through and bringing you constant updates throughout the newscast on 4, 5, and 6. And obviously, if we need to break in outside of regular news programming, we will as needed. But hopefully that won't be a concern tonight. Hopefully we get through it just fine. But if there is a concerning situation or a warning issued, we will obviously break in and let you know about that. And you can always watch that on our 14 First Alert app as well. So, all right, I'm not seeing any questions. You're welcome to everyone who is saying thank you. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I used up all our time today, so you'll just have to catch the news on 14 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10. All right, everybody stay safe, stay weather aware. We'll get through this evening just fine. Again, tomorrow, cloudy, cool, but dry. Then we're right back in it with more rain, maybe some heavy rain Thursday and Friday. So you'll want to keep checking back in for more updates as the week goes on. You guys have a great rest of your night.